For noen uker siden var jeg i Oslo og snakket med Selznick, mannen bak denne boka her. Boka har blitt en film som heter Hugo Cabaret. Og i dette her lille intervjuet så snakker vi om akkurat denne boka her, og om at den har blitt film. What was it like starting that book, that journey?
It was, I don't know, it was a little scary. You know, I had this idea to write a story about a boy who meets Georges Méliès, the famous French filmmaker, and finds a broken automaton that he fixes. But I didn't really know that it was going to be this big and this heavy when I was making the book. It originally was just going to be a 100-page novel about a kid who meets Georges Méliès, but then I started doing more research and finding out more about films and old movies, and decided it might be interesting to try to illustrate the book so that it feels like an old movie. So that's when I went back and I took out a bunch of the text and replaced it with the picture sequences that appear in the book. So while I was working on it, it kept growing bigger and bigger. And
how many years?
I worked on this for 2.5 years. Yeah. So it was a pretty long time and a pretty big undertaking. Yeah, I certainly did not know it was going to take that long when I began, but it was certainly worth the time.
Yeah, because now it's a movie.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that? Because when I started flipping through this book, it was just, wow, it's like a movie. It's like a silent movie.
Good.
And it's about silent movie.
Yeah.
In a way. And what was it like to see the film?
I actually didn't think this story was filmable as a movie, because even though it celebrates movies, in the end, for me, it's really about books and bookmaking. But then Martin Scorsese called and said that he wanted to make it into a movie, and he's not only one of the best filmmakers of all time, but he's also a film preservationist, a film scholar. And so I realized almost immediately that there was no one else who could make this movie. And I think it's a masterpiece. Like I think it's an incredibly powerful, beautiful homage to the history of film. And my book is ultimately about bookmaking, even though it celebrates movies, but the movie is ultimately about the importance of film and a plea to preserve the history of film. And there's a lot of things in it that have a lot to do with Martin Scorsese's own life that I didn't even realize as I was writing the book. So in a certain way, I feel like part of the reason I wrote the book was for him to make the movie. And I'm very, very proud of it. And plus, everyone on the movie set told me that they've never seen a director be more faithful to the source material. That he always had a copy of the book with him. He was always referring to it. The sets by Dante Ferretti look just like my drawings. The actors all look like the characters who I drew. The dialogue, most of it is directly from the book. The plot is directly from the book. So it's very, very faithful, while also being its own beautiful work of art.
Thank you very much for visiting this little book blog.
Oh, it's so nice to talk to you. Thank you very much.